Every time I close it, there's more people trying to get in. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm trying. Good morning, everybody. I'm just waiting for everybody to get logged on. It's nice and sunny here today. I don't know where you are, but where I am, it is 70 degrees and it feels wonderful. The snow is melting. The wind is blowing. Everything's great. It's not too windy today. Thank goodness. How's everybody doing? What are we going to talk about today? I got a feeling we're going to talk about the money, but I could be wrong. Anybody got anything they want to ask before we get started? Let me know. I'd be more than happy to answer questions. I'm just going to wait like one more minute. Make sure everybody's on here. We got more coming. I'm on time today, you guys. The phone didn't ring. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Just somebody send me a message. Let me know that you guys can hear me okay. Sometimes I feel like I'm all alone out here in cyberspace. All by myself. Okay, here comes questions. Can we raise rents on commercial tenants? Talk to your legal counsel. Do you like my answer? Commercial tenants lost their protections back in October unless you're in LA County. LA County is still allowing some protections for some commercial businesses, especially if they've been affected by COVID. As far as increasing the rents, let's talk about that. Let's put it out on the table, okay? If they've been delinquent at all during COVID, you absolutely cannot raise the rents. Bad idea. You're making yourself subject to lawsuit. In other words, if you like people knocking at your door, serving you lawsuits, you go right ahead. Even on the people that weren't delinquent throughout the entire pandemic, I don't think we should reward them or punish them for not being late by increasing their rents. It has to do with ethics, okay? Remember, we're trying to keep that landlord-tenants balance right. You know, landlord-tenant should be like this. Should never be like this. If it ever gets like this, you gotta most likely go to court in order to get it back like this. You're the landlord, you're the boss. You're the one fully responsible for everything that happens at that property. Let me just say this. If your tenant wasn't late at all during the entire pandemic, the whole 16 months of the pandemic, which still doesn't end until June 30th, we're going to reward them by increasing their rent. Might want to rethink that. Just saying. I'd give them at least 6 months and hear me out all the way. Okay. Don't go so quick to go, oh God, she's crazy. Hear me out. If the tenant reports bed bugs, we can't terminate tenancy, increase rents, or touch them for 6 months, or it's considered retaliation. If they call code enforcement and find a genuine complaint, something that we need to address or correct, we can't touch them for 6 months, or it's retaliation. Same thing applies if they call fair housing. What do you think a global pandemic would do? Testing the water right now isn't a good idea. Let somebody else stick their toe in that pond and let's see how hot that water gets. But don't you do it. It's not worth it. It'll probably cost you the two most expensive things in this industry, one being time and the other one being money. It would be the best business practice and the best code of ethics if you waited 6 months after the pandemic was over, meaning June 30th, if you waited 6 months before you increased rent, terminated tenancy with no cause, or changed any terms of the tenancy. It would be the best business practice for you to err on the full side of caution, not to do anything until January 1st of 2022. That would be the best business practice. As far as increasing your rents, talk to your attorney. They're the ones that have to stand next to you and represent you in a court of law. I wouldn't do it personally. I'd wait till 6 months after the pandemic and then do the increase. Because if my tenants weren't late that entire time, I don't want to reward them by penalizing them and increasing their rents. I mean, look at how many owners didn't get any money from March and still don't have money. And here it is, March again, or 1 year later, but we're also looking at 3 more months of this. I know it's been rough. It hasn't been easy. It's affected the entire planet. Don't be in such a hurry to increase their rents, especially if they've been on time throughout the pandemic. I mean, what a crappy reward. If your tenant didn't make your life miserable through the pandemic, you sure don't want to make their life miserable after the pandemic. That's the kind of tenant you want to keep, because you know when things go bad, they're still going to uphold their end of the contract. Think about it, please. I beg you. Don't be in a quick hurry to go raise their rents. They did you a solid. Return the favor. I'm just saying, give them 6 months. Then raise their rent. That's just my opinion. Most likely, I have a feeling that's the way the whole thing's going to go anyway, but I'm just saying. What a crappy reward. Thank you so much for paying me throughout the pandemic. Here's your rent increase. Think about it, please. I beg you. That's all. Just wait. It's not going to hurt you to wait 6 months. Any questions? Other than that, I'm going to get going on where we're going to get the money, because we go get the money on March 15th. Don't forget. March 15th, set your alarm clock for 5 a.m. The reason I say that is I think that it's going to work on New York time, not California time. So if you wait till 8 o'clock in the morning, California time, the money might be gone. How long is this money going to last? I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea. I know that they are going to allow tenants to apply after landlords can apply first, so that the tenants can apply for the 25% in the event that their landlord doesn't want to participate in the program. Then they can apply for the 25% through June, just so that you cannot evict them. God love it. I missed somebody trying to get on. The sun was in my eyes. I'm sorry. Come July 1st, can we ask for possession for an owner to move in, or is this too soon for LA County retaliation? I would say it's probably going to be too soon for retaliatory issues, but I'm not your legal counsel. I know. Somebody questioned me extensively today on how I was able to give them legal advice. I'm not giving you guys legal advice. So today I'm being very, very conservative in my responses, just to make sure that I'm not misleading anyone. So everybody knows, if we haven't had this conversation before, I'm a lot of things, but I'm not an attorney. Okay? I do not practice law. Diana, let's see what you're asking. How about to sell the house? You could sell a house right now after July 1st in LA County. Once you have an open escrow, then you can serve the 30-day notice to terminate the tenancy. But you have to have an open escrow to do that. If they don't vacate within the 30 days, then you will most likely have to do an eviction. Evictions in LA County currently uncontested, meaning the tenant is not fighting you. They didn't file an answer. Don't press go. Don't spend $200. Hit the easy button. LA County right now, uncontested evictions are currently taking 6 months. 6 months. So I have a feeling once this gets lifted, once we're no longer under restrictions, we're going to see a lot more evictions come about. For a lot of owners that aren't participating in the government program, they're waiting for July 2nd. As it sits right now, if it does not get extended, which is highly unlikely in my opinion, and I've said that ever since I've seen Senate Bill 91, just because the state's starting to open up, we're starting to see more businesses open up, schools are opening up, things are getting back into the groove of normal, okay? I don't think they're going to extend it anymore. If they do, my opinion would be most likely that it would only be extended in LA County and not anywhere else. As far as Southern California goes, just because they were so heavily hit by COVID. So with that being said, I wouldn't try to raise rents or terminate tenancy unless you have an open escrow. And you may find that it becomes more and more ideal, practical for time, effort, and everything else involved. We may find that cash for keys is a much better option than going through the legal process. I mean, hear me out, okay? If it's going to take 6 months to get my tenant out through the legal process and my rent's $2,000 a month, that's $12,000 I'm going to lose. $12,000 right there. Not to mention how much money I'm going to spend on my legal counsel to do that eviction. Is that going to be another grand, another $2,000? Are they going to contest? Is it going to take longer? If you're going to lose $12,000 just in rent, doesn't it make sense to offer them $10,000 to get them to go? Bye-bye. I'm just saying, hear me out. A lot of us independent landlords are not listing our vacant units for rent right now. We're sitting on them vacant because we're scared somebody's going to move in and cry COVID. So that's driving up the supply and demand. Just saying. That'd be our faults, us little guys that are like, nope, not doing it. Been there, done that. Got the t-shirt, not going back. So it's really hard for you to get your tenant out right now. When they tell you there's nowhere for me to go, they're not lying. Go look. There's nowhere. It's becoming, that's going to be our next challenge is where do they go? This is why the government designed and developed this 80% program is so that we would stop evicting people in California, because if they don't do something, half of the state will be homeless in the next 6 months. Evictions are going through. We're seeing evictions go through. Before and previously, we would see that they would just pull out let me back up. When we evict for non-payment of rent currently, it's a 15-day notice, a declaration, and the disclosure regarding the law and what the rules are. With that being said, mostly in LA County, we were seeing judges, and I don't want to use all the legal terms involved in this, but because I'll lose you guys, I know I will. They were basically telling tenants, oh, you didn't know you had to sign this? Here, can you sign it now saying you were affected by COVID? Case dismissed, go home, bye-bye. They're not doing that anymore. Judges are actually, the initial shock factor of the new law has worn off. They have a better understanding of it, and they're not so eager to side with that tenant that they didn't know that they had to do something, AKA sign the declaration and return it to the landlord. With that being said, we're seeing more and more evictions go through. We're seeing the ball starting to turn again. The wheels are moving, if you will, as far as the court systems go. So now that we're seeing evictions go through, and people are getting possession of their property back, what we're also seeing in the interim is there's nowhere for these tenants to go. Hence why they came up with the 80-20 program, to stop evictions, to get these landlords the assistance that they needed, that we all need, so that we can avoid eviction court. In the perfect world, and I'll play this out for you of how I see it in my brain, I'm going to apply for the 80%. I'm going to forgive 20%. That's going to cover me through June. And on July 2nd, I'm going to serve a 3-day notice to pay rent or quit to my tenants that are delinquent in July. On the 2nd, because rent was due on the 1st. See how that worked? I got a feeling that we're going to go right back to business as normal come July 1st. 15-day notices hopefully will be a thing of COVID and not something that we foresee going forward, although they have been lobbying for these 15-day notices for quite a few years. We've always won. We've won that battle for a couple years now. Because of COVID, we got the 15-day notice. Ouch. Hopefully, when COVID goes away, so does that damn 15-day notice, because we all know that sucks. Yes, fingers crossed, and our eyes, and our toes, and anything else that you can cross on your body, your arms, your legs, whatever. We want our 3 days back. 15 days is just too much time. Come on, you guys. When applied properly, a 15-day notice actually is good for 30 days sometimes, depending on holidays, weekends, etc. So with all of that being said, hopefully we get right back to business as normal. I would highly recommend that you consider not terminating tenancy or not increasing the rents until after January 1st, just to be the most ethical and the best business practice. It's funny because people ask me all the time, well, when can I do this? Well, you can do whatever you want. Are they going to sue you? I don't like lawsuits. I don't like to invite them to my front door. If you have that same feeling, then wait till January 1 before you make any changes or do anything to your tenant, just on principle and ethics alone. Okay. Especially if they've paid you the rent this entire time. They've done their job. You are not part of the statistic right now because of your tenant. Don't reward them by increasing their rent. It's just not right. I'm just saying. How would you feel if that were you? My landlord doesn't have anything to complain about. I paid my rent throughout the entire pandemic. Boom, here's a rent increase. Thank you very much. Kind of shitty, don't you think? Don't be that guy. Takes a lot of work to reverse a bad taste in a tenant's mouth. Okay. And if we can avoid putting that taste in their mouth to begin with, that is by far the easiest way to handle the situation because it makes everything simple. They actually like us. Go figure. That's the relationship we want. That's what corporate America instills in their client, in their resident, if you will. And that's why corporate America doesn't have the problems us independent landlords do and us small mom and pop property management companies, because they have a little more leverage, a little more cushion to lean on, and have a little bit more leeway, which makes it easier when they're manipulating things like COVID. All right. So just so everybody's on the same page, I'm checking messages just to make sure I don't miss anything. Just so everybody's on the same page, on the 15th of March is the first time we can apply for the funds. That's on the website, housingiskey.com. 3 words all put together, housingiskey.com. And that is who we want to be on the website with on the 15th at 5 a.m., ready to apply with our, hold on, I'll think of the name, APN number. One moment. APN number from our taxes. Why? Because if we pay our taxes to the federal government every year by using an APN number because they don't recognize our address as being a legal description, the APN number, why not talk in their language? So we may need that. So make sure you have your tax bill handy on the 15th when you're applying. I'm not saying you do, but it just kind of makes sense to me. If that's how we pay them, they may recognize, still letting people in, sorry. They may recognize that better. It may process quicker. I mean, I don't know. I honestly, nobody does. I will tell you this hands down 10 times over. If you are utilizing the website, housingiskey.com, please take note that the documents they provide free of charge to landlords are invalid in a court of law. Leave it to the federal government to set you up for failure. Just saying. To be very specific on what I'm speaking of, if you look at the 15-day notice on the Housing is Key website, you will notice that it does not have an address to pay the rent to. It does not have an individual named of who to give the rent to, nor does it state dates, nor does it say times, nor does it have a place for a phone number. As simply as I could say this, those are there to give you an idea, but they are not in compliance with California Civil Procedure 1162, subparagraph 2, and along with several other violations of California Civil Procedure. So simply said, if you use the notices that are on housingiskey.com, you're more than likely setting yourself up for failure because they're only good for toilet paper, which people may need or did need in the beginning of this pandemic, but not so much anymore. So be careful, okay? Please don't use those documents. If you read the disclaimer on them, it actually tells you to contact your legal counsel that these may not be compliant with California Civil Procedure. So if you think I'm crazy, read the disclaimer. You'll know what I'm talking about. Review the notice. You'll see what I'm talking about. Don't use it, okay? I hope on the website it doesn't crash on March 15th. Well, that's why I'm telling everyone, get on it at 5 a.m. Nobody's thinking about that. It's a website. Hey, I wonder if it'll be up at 3 a.m. because technically that would be midnight on the East Coast. I don't know. We're just going to have to play it by ear, you guys. Wing it. I mean, we're only talking about 80% of our past due rents for 16 months. Run, don't walk to sign up for that money. The reason why I'm encouraging everybody to sign up for that money rather than to go the route that it's been played out as is, let me play this out for you. 25% of all the rents during COVID pandemic, except for the first wave, the protected period, which is March through August of 2020. Okay. Yes, March through August of 2020, that first 5 months, March, April, May, June, July, August. Oh, I'm sorry, 5 months. I was right. Oh, blonde, and she figured it out. That is considered consumer debt. We can never evict for those 5 months of rent. We can only sue in small claims court. Small claims court doesn't open for COVID rental debt until August 1st of this year. Okay, so if we get the 25% on or before June 30th for September of 2020 through June of 2020, they have till the 30th of June to pay us 25% of the rents. If they don't, then we most likely can pursue an eviction based on the 25% that's due because they were affected by COVID, not the whole amount, okay? The other 75% is considered consumer debt, and the landlord can file a small claims action for that money that's owed, but not until August 1st of 2021. I'm checking my dates in my blonde registry. That's why you're getting the pause. Sorry, I have no notes. This is all Rolodex out of my blonde brain, so you're in trouble. So with that being said, the other 75% has become consumer debt, meaning that you cannot evict for that either. You can only sue in small claims court. So let's paint the picture. In August, there is going to be a line out the door of most courts. Here's what you need to know. Your statute of limitations on an oral contract is 2 years, and your statute of limitations on a written agreement is 4. With that being said, you don't need to run right down to the courthouse on August 1st and get in the masses with everybody else and then get lost in the system. Nothing's going to hurt you if you wait 2 months and then file. Just saying, you might want to avoid the masses, okay? In the event that you do get a judgment, yay, got a money judgment, tenant didn't show up, however it plays out, you now have a judgment. Here's the thing. Because it happened during COVID and COVID is a protected period, you as the landlord are the only one that can collect on that debt. You cannot hire an attorney to do it for you or a collection agency to do it for you. The debt is unassignable. That means you as the landlord are going to have to figure out how to do a wage garnishment. With me? Okay. You're going to have to file writs of execution with the sheriff's department in order to implement those wage garnishments. It's a process and a procedure, kind of like an eviction, but just different terminology. Instead of a writ of possession, it's a writ of execution. Okay. Long story short, all the tenant has to do is file bankruptcy, and all that money they owe you is gone. Ouch. See how the 80% from the government sounds much better than a hope and a dream later down the road? Just saying. Think about that. I saw a question come through. I'm trying to get to it. Regarding the application for rental assistance program, do we need declaration of COVID-19 from the tenants or tenant signature to apply? At this point, this is a bailout for the landlord and the tenant. And the reason I said and the tenant, and I threw the tenant in there, is this isn't just about covering the tenant. The tenant gets to stay there. This is also about paying 80% of the landlord's mortgage. There's a lot of us that are looking at past the face of notice of default and are actually staring down the throat of a notice of trustee sale. With this 80% program, it's supposed to stop the notices of trustee sale, bail out the landlords, pay off the tenant, and pretty much clean the slate, if you will, and give everybody a fresh new start for July 1. That's the idea. Whether or not we're all going to get paid, can't answer that. How long these funds are going to last, don't know, can't answer that. I don't know. We don't know. They're not giving us a whole lot of information. They said that they're administering the funds through the state allocated through this website. However, they can also spread the funds throughout the municipalities so that people can apply through a municipality, meaning your city or your county or a federally funded program. So there are already some federally funded programs out available by the counties and the cities, and they may trickle down through those systems as well. But for the most part, all we know is on March 15th, you can apply on this website, housingiskey.com. Okay. And again, don't use the documents on there. They will set you up for failure. Sometimes I hear 75-25 and 80-20. Can you clarify? Absolutely. It's very confusing. We're talking about two different things, okay? 70-20. No, I said that wrong. Apparently I was putting in 10% for myself. Sorry, blonde, funny. I know. 80-20 program is one thing. The 75-25 is another thing. Let me explain. Currently, as it sits, if the tenant signs the declaration stating that they were affected by COVID for that month, because you're supposed to do this every month, you guys, okay, every month, 15-day notice, tenant declaration, and disclosure regarding their rights, okay? If the tenant returns the declaration to you, then they don't owe any rent until on or before June 30th, they must pay 25%. So they could give you that 25% every month. That's fine. But 25% needs to be paid on or before June 30th. Some of them are going to wait all the way until June 30th and then pay the 25%. Okay? Following me? That's how the law is written right now. Now, the government sees that we're going to evict half the state of California on this 25-75 ratio that's ludicrous, okay? So what they're offering is to come in and pay 80% of the past due balance on your tenant's ledger, as long as it doesn't have any late fees, rent increases, nothing like that, okay? Can't do it, so don't. They're going to pay 80% of everything that's past due on the ledger. Example, let's say that the tenant paid you the 25%. Then what's owed to you is only 75%. It doesn't matter if it's 75% or 100%, 5%, 10%. The government is going to pay 80% of what's due on your past due ledger from March through June. No late fees, no rent increases. You guys don't forget that part. And if you have to handwrite a column or ledger, do it. Okay. They're going to give you 80% of whatever the tenant didn't pay. So if they've paid 3 months of rent for the first part of this and then stop paying and then pick back up with the 25%, doesn't matter. 80% of your past due ledger, okay, will be paid by the government and forgive the other 20%. It's forgiven. It's gone out the window. Yesterday's news. Did that help explain for you? Let me know if that worked. So 2 different things going on. Currently, they only owe 25% of the rent on or before. Housingiskey.com takes me to the DRE Gov page. I'll have to look and check. I haven't checked it since Monday. My bad. It was sending you to the BRE's or the DRE's webpage for the notices, but those aren't good notices, so don't use those. I'll look at it again, but I do know that's where we go apply on the 15th. And they didn't have a whole lot of information up there for landlords. I want to say they had 3 or 4 notices, a 15-day, a COVID declaration, and something else. I don't remember. I'll go back and look, but don't use those notices. No. They're no good. Breathe. There's light at the end of the tunnel. And you want to know the craziest thing? You guys all remember where we were a year ago today? Go backwards. COVID was just about to fall in our laps, okay? We were all running around, heads cut off like chickens. Oh my God, the sky is falling. We've survived it so far, you guys. We're doing good. Okay? Don't panic on me now. Do you understand the difference between the 80-20 and the 25-75? The 80-20 is the government coming in to bail us out, giving us 80% of the past due balance, and then we have to forgive the other 20%. So the tenant doesn't owe it. It's gone. It went bye-bye. Everybody get that? I'm not hearing back from you, so I'm assuming that answered your question. If it doesn't, let me know and we'll revisit it.
Patty, a question, please.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm getting close so I could hear you. I'm outside.
Yes. Do you have to have served the 15-day notice in order to qualify for 2080? Or just a reminder?
In order to qualify for the 2080, you had to do a couple of things, okay? Number one, you have to give your tenant the Senate Bill 91 disclosure of what their rights are on or before February 28th. If you didn't do that, you're not going to be able to apply for the government's loan.
We've done that. I'm just worried about, do you have to have them receive the 15-day notice, or just reminders how much was due would be sufficient to qualify for 2080?
I can't answer that because they haven't specified that yet through the lending. Would you have to do a 15-day notice in order to apply? Maybe not. Will you have to do a 15-day notice in order to accept the funds? Maybe. I don't know what they're doing or how the program's going to work. I know they're going to want to see a copy of your ledger. If you guys are using Yardi or Appfolio or Rent Collect or any of that accounting software, here's my opinion to you, not my advice. Because you can't have anything on your ledger that are additional expenses to the tenant throughout the COVID pandemic period, my opinion to you is handwrite a column or ledger. Stop using your accounting software program where you're going in and trying to remove late fees and adjust this and adjust that and remove all this stuff. Stop it. You're working harder, not smarter. Just handwrite a 16-month column or ledger showing what came in, what was owed, and that's it. It's very simple. Just write it on a piece of paper. It will probably be much easier than trying to figure out your accounting software program. maybe sent to dre.gov because I received an email from AACSC and stated housing is key online platform is also landlord tenant dre.gov. Most likely, they're probably going to have many websites of which we can apply for these funds, not just so that it doesn't crash the website. So if you guys can't get on it, housing is key, go to the DRE, landlord tenant. And just for those of you that don't know what DRE is, that's the Department of Real Estate, just so you know. Oh, it's a beautiful day here. I don't know how it is in California. I didn't look, but it is 70 degrees. The snow is melting and the sun is shining and I have a wonderful little breeze going on. I'm a happy camper today. Okay, hold on. I see another question coming from Miss April. Tenants need a letter of termination from a job, most recent pay stub, evidence that they applied for unemployment, evidence that EDD has expired, tax record, income statements, evidence showing loss of income. See? That's what the tenants need to provide, right, April? Okay, but the tenant's not applying. We are. So we're probably going to need a ledger, our APN number, and I don't know what else. How titles held is going to be a big one, I'm sure. And we'll play it by ear. I know this sounds atrocious, but I'll have an update for you guys the Wednesday after the 15th. Hold on, April gave us something else. This information is on housing is key. Perfect, April. Thank you. You're my hero. That's where the tenant applies for their 25%, correct? I believe I'm correct. Yes, okay. So where the tenant applies, they have to have quite a bit of documentation, as you guys heard through April. We may have to do the same. I, again, strongly suggest and highly recommend that you use a column or ledger. If you don't know what I'm talking about, ask your accountant. It would be easy for you to do a simple ledger where you write March 1st, 2020, rent owed $2,000, rent paid $0. April 1st, 2020, rent due, rent paid, amount owed, etc. So try to keep that easy peasy. Okay, I got an update here. For landlords, property deed, mortgage note, property tax statement, property insurance, lease, or list reflecting rent due. It's on their website. So there you guys go. I mean, it's starting to give you a list. I would think that you would need your APN agreement or APN, but that's going to be your tax statement. So it's starting to give you guys what you need to get things together. I'm excited. I hope everybody gets what they need to stay out of trouble because I don't want anybody to lose their investment because of this. Anybody have anything else? We have big things happening. The 15th is a big day for us, you guys. Some of us are going to be up at the butt crack of dawn and need lots of caffeine. Like I've said throughout this pandemic, we're not all in the same boat, but we're all in the same storm. And we'll get out of it. Some of us are on a life raft. Some of us are on a yacht. I mean, it just depends, but we're all going to get through it. We'll figure it out. I'm just excited that we're going to open back up again soon and that we'll be doing trade shows again soon and I'll be able to see people in person again. Yay! And please make sure that you're not, that you know for a fact that you cannot disclose about unpaid rents that happened during COVID. That is a big lawsuit, you guys. So if a tenant vacates a year from now, a day from now, 5 years from now, it doesn't matter. You can't discuss about non-payment of rent that happened during COVID. That would be discriminatory and retaliatory and subjects you to tremendous amounts of lawsuits and fines. So don't do it. I'm boldly just going to tell people we don't talk about what happened during COVID. Not about the toilet paper, not about the hand sanitizer, not about the mask, and sure in the hell not about the rent. Yeah, I got a feeling it's going to be one application for each tenant. Yes. And it's not going to be an easy process. And I can't encourage you enough to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, because when the money's gone, the money's gone. And everybody's scared that corporate America is going to swoop in and take it all. Remember this, corporate America does not have the same problems we do. When we go vacant, it's an eye for an eye. So it can make things extremely challenging on the independent landlord. I have a package being delivered by FedEx, so sorry. Maybe you'll come up here, maybe you won't. Anybody have any more questions for me today? Oh, wait, here comes another one. On the 15th, it starts at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. No. I think it's going to start at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which would be 5 a.m. our time. In other words, if this is a federal program, and this is just my line of thinking, okay? This is a federal program, wouldn't it run on a federal time clock? It's the internet. It just made sense to me. So we may want to log on at 5 o'clock in the morning and see if it's available yet to apply. If it's not, I try again at 6, and then I try again at 7, and then I get in line at 8. And if you can't get on and it's crashing, go to the BRE's website for landlord tenant issue, because that is most likely going to be how you are. Hold on. I saw a question come through. Will this be the same for the city of San Diego and Chula Vista that opens on the 15th? Yes, we're talking about the state funds. It's for the whole state of California, for anybody that has delinquent rents owed during COVID. See why I'm trying to tell you to do it sooner rather than later? 60% of all landlords have been affected by this. 60%. It's more than half of us, you guys. Huh. Okay, J Tour. It starts on the 15th and goes until they run out of money. That could be by 9 a.m. It could be by the 17th. Nobody knows. It's just until they run out of money. Do we have any more questions? Oh. I heard that other counties except San Diego has been already open. That's not true. That's not true. There are other programs available through counties right now. April is very active in getting involved in her community and what programs are being offered through the county. So I could tell you firsthand, April's already had tenants apply from some county and some city programs that have been available. And this is the one issued by the federal government. And they can administer down through the municipalities and let them distribute the money as well. So we may find that out on the 15th. Once we apply, they may say, contact this person for your area, or contact this, or go here. We just don't know yet. That's the big thing, is we just don't know. April, I got over $25,000 for our delinquencies through the city and the county programs, not this federal bailout, you guys. So there's other programs out there. And April's a whiz at finding them. I know, I'm telling on you, April. I'm sorry. I'll hear about it later. You watch. But no, I know that she's already applied, because we've had several conversations how those funds should be applied to the account, etc. So aside from the federal program, which is the 80/20, which is out, there are other programs available designed to help tenants and landlords through the municipalities, like I said, through the city, through the county. It just depends on where you are and what's available. And now April only has 5 tenants that are delinquent. Out of how many, April? We got to know. Over 200. And she's down to 5. Damn. Damn. I got no words. I just look at it as, what if I had a 200 unit complex and 5 people weren't, and 1 vacancy? That's an alpha female going after her job, making sure she's doing everything she can. So people can survive COVID. She's walking proof. She only has 5 people she has to apply for on the 15th. I'm jealous. All right. So you guys know, no rent increases, no additional charges to the tenant. Don't talk about what happened during COVID later, not a year from now, not 5 years from now. We're going to see lots of lawsuits come because of that. So be careful. Yeah, I think that's all I have to add. No rent increases, no late fees, no additional charges to the tenants. And get ready, because April's coming. And then after April, we have May. And then after May, we have June. And after June, we have July. And then we should be home free. I'm looking forward to being able to utilize 3 days again and not having this COVID cloud consume our day like it has, you know? I'm sick of COVID. It needs to be evicted. All right, if nobody else has anything, I'm going to sign off for the day. We'll get back on here next Wednesday. We should have lots of good updates for you then. Diana's got something else. Hold on. I'm looking through the website, and requirements include payments must be used to satisfy unpaid rent. Absolutely. The tenant must take steps to verify that they meet eligibility requirements and sign the application. Okay. Tenant's household must be at or below 80% of the area median income. Okay. So it's going to be a collaboration between tenant and landlord for the 80/20. Oh, I'm sure it would be. And a lot of people say, oh, well, my tenant's not going to comply. Here's the thing. And I'm not trying to be an ass here. If your tenant is just standing up to you to that point, you need to go have a very direct conversation with them. Okay. And this is me talking to you. If they apply for this and it doesn't cost them a dime, and all their rents for COVID get wiped clean, and they start first on July with a whole clean slate, why would they not run to go do that? This is what they've been waiting for, right? Is the government to come bail them out. Here it is. Don't drop the ball now, tenants, because if you do, I'm going to hang you with it. So we'll see how it goes. I got a feeling out of the 60% of tenants that aren't paying the rent, this will fix 40% of the problem. The other 20% are just going to need to be evicted, unfortunately. They're going to say, I don't need the government. And then they're not going to get any more help. And we're going to end up having to do an eviction, unfortunately. It is what it is. But I mean, it's worth a shot, you guys. If we're going to get 80% of our past due rents, it's better than what we're getting now, which is absolutely nothing. I know, it's frustrating. I get it. All right, you guys, if you have nothing else, I'm going to turn this off. I will see you guys next week for sure, for sure. Have a good day. Bye.